hey, we really want to be a blessing to our community. And our passion's always been just communal hubs that really foster and strengthen the local community around us, just creating cool places where people hang out, build friendships, work, whatever. And so when we started this place in England, we just, all of these like AA, Narcotics Anonymous, all these people come in and they would just sit in there and nice new service coffee for $1. And we all like Folgers. So our drip coffee literally was Folgers.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-through openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Good to be with you guys again, Coffee Experts Club. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Drew and Moody on time. So proud, bro. Anyway, today, Coffee Experts Club, I'm super excited to talk to the gentleman that we're going to bring on. So, we've had some pretty cool guys lately. This guy today, though, is another one of our internationals. And I was telling Ben and Drew before we started on the show this afternoon, just this guy, I think, has the greatest depth of coffee of anybody we've talked to, in that Drew has been doing, so there are double Drews today, it's Drew Square today. Drew Davis, from Stomping Grounds in Tennessee, has been doing coffee all the way back. I mean, we're going to talk to him about how many years back, but started in England of all places. So Newcastle upon Tyne, his first coffee shop, one of the coolest places I've ever been to as far as serving coffee. So grab Drew Davis. Hey, dude.
Nice. How you doing?
Drew Davis. So tell us the rad story. So Newcastle upon Tyne, any of you who haven't been to Northern England, it's an experience in and of itself. Anybody that, I ever run into that's got a British accent, we start talking, but I always know they're not from Newcastle because their accent is more clean, right? The Geordies, the guys that come from up towards the north where it borders Scotland, like their accent has a little bit more of a slur to it. And when they really start drinking, they really start slurring. They get a little bit pissy about it. So I think I got to visit Drew just so many times being in Newcastle upon Tyne, but that was a long time ago, bro. And that was your first experience in coffee. And you told a great story at the beginning about Folgers. Give us a little bit of talk about Newcastle upon Tyne just for fun.
Yeah, me and my wife, once we got married, we were backpacking through England, came across this little city called Newcastle upon Tyne, England, in the very northeast. And there's a park right in the middle where like 500-600 kids hang out. And we were actually on our honeymoon, just backpacking around. And we ended up hanging out with these kids for like 2 months. We said, hey, let's just move back here. So we ended up moving back and we ended up starting a cool hangout coffee shop place for them and the city. That's how it all began.
Wow. And it was called the basement, right? That's what you guys called it?
It was first called the upper room. You had to climb 88 stairs to get to the coffee shop. And it was packed. No elevators. Then from there, we moved to a downstairs basement, 5,000 square foot coffee shop. It's still going today. It's called Flat Caps. It's the number one place where they train all of the barista champions for the United Kingdom.
Wow. So cool. And I think the spot there, that what you did with the basement and what it's become, I think is so cool. And I know Tammy's not on the show with us today, your wife, but I know she's been writing the rungs of all of it with you. And it's a lot of times her brilliance of the creative and what she sees of a room. And there have been times you've talked to me about walking into just a dump. Yeah, and Tammy's like, we can make this work. And you're like, babe, are you sure about this one?
It was a 5,000 square foot warehouse from ceiling to floor of trash. All the way through. A budget of $25,000 to do the whole thing. To make it happen.
So tell us about Folgers, because that was a funny story you said right before. Don't use the good stuff. Don't use the good stuff.
My wife's always been, big into coffee. And it was more me just supporting her along the journey. We didn't start like people who knew everything of the coffee culture. We were just, hey, we really want to be a blessing to our community. And our passion's always been just communal hubs that really foster and strengthen the local community around us, just creating cool places where people hang out, build friendships, work, whatever. So when we started this place in England, all of these like AA, Narcotics Anonymous, all these people come in and they would just sit in there and nice new service coffee for $1. And we all like Folgers. So our drip coffee literally was Folgers.
Funny story about Folgers, and I'm going there, Ben. So just be ready for this. So Ben is this like fully established, like director of operations for this big coffee chain. I mean, medium-sized coffee chain, right? Like 15 locations and a roastery, but big for us, big for Collab team as a client, 150 employees, like they do their own coffee, right? They partnered with a farm that brought, like their stuff all comes with resilient bags, like as far as that's the name of their roastery. Like this is a high class joint, right? Totally pride of the owner to have this like Gießen roaster that he's made just all this craft coffee out of. Like it's their big baby, it's their big boast. And one time Ben and I were talking and he let slip that actually he doesn't drink any of that stuff. He actually just makes Folgers at home before he comes to it. Let us send you home freaking bags. Like what in the world are you buying Folgers for? But Ben's number one coffee of choice.
Oh, wow.
Okay, to my defense, I was like, I don't want to drink this great coffee in my crappy little coffee pot I got at home. I'll just drink Folgers in it.
So it was about the pot. It wasn't about the beans. So.
And my level of effort in making my coffee too.
Come a long way since then. So.
Thank God, both of you guys. Thank God you guys both have. So Drew, tell us a bit about what you're doing now. So I also want to go on record just saying Drew and I go way further back than like 15 years ago of him being in England. Like Drew, I knew my wife actually went to high school with, who had blonde hair down to his butt, which is probably why him and Drew Moody are such good pals, because Drew Moody also had blonde hair down to his butt. But I think my wife said all the way through high school, she didn't know Drew one day come to high school sober. And or as Drew has made it and just been an entrepreneur and been a hustler and just come as far as he have, him and Tam Bolt is just such a testimony that apparently you can smoke a lot of marijuana and still come out as a pretty badass entrepreneur. A lot of grace, a lot of grace. Tell us about what you got going, stomping grounds in Tennessee. We want to hear about it.
Yeah, well, like I said, our coffee journey began, very connected ministry wise. This is a big part of like today, a lot of what we did like church planting, and the coffee shop was a ministry. It's where we also had a church. We were there for 12 years doing that through a couple different shops there. And then we moved back to California in 2012, just due to my family being sick and stuff. So a couple of years just taking care of them. Mixed in between the coffee journey is we spent a couple of years down in Mexico, which is a big part of what we do. Is we run an orphanage for kids with disabilities there.
Wow.
And after a couple of years of that, we decided to come back to the States and really run the nonprofit organization that would help fund that. But this time, my parents were passed away. We didn't have anywhere to live. We were living off of like $1,000 a month, and that just doesn't work in California. So we decided to move to Tennessee, where my wife's family was. And we moved here a few years ago, literally with $1,000 a month we were making. Luckily, we had some money, and we were able to get into a house, took a line of credit out of it. A little shop opened up by us, real tiny little like 800 square foot house on the main road. Has a pretty cool little vibe to it. And Tammy actually talked to the owner and said, hey, if you guys ever rent this, let us know. Put her name down. It came available. He called it a year ago. He's like, you put your name down a year ago, so you're the first on the list. And all right, let's start a coffee shop. I mean, we were broke as a joke. We were going to take 10 grand out of our house to start everything, renovate it. We didn't have one piece of equipment. It was the first coffee house in this local area. Now there's like 13. I think it was about 25 grand. We refurbished the place and bought every bit of our equipment, just strapping things together. And we spent the first couple of years, 12 hours a day. Our kids both worked. They were in high school, worked with us. And the place just became really successful within this. Everybody's like, don't go there. Whatever starts in that shop fails. But it was really successful to us. We're still running that shop today. And then about a year and a half ago, we've expanded to the next city over and opened up a much larger, it's a really cool shop. And so we're doing that now.
Such a great story of like coming and such testimony to coffee, right? Of like, hey, you can start with not a lot of capital. I know there are not a lot of businesses out there you can just start from with not a ton and then be able to build to such success. I've opened up your second one within a pretty short window of time. And then your second one is just beautiful. I know you and Tam spent a lot of time making it such a premier spot, man.
Yeah, and it's been really successful. I mean, it's gone well. Now we have like about 25, 28 employees between the two shops. Super cool. Our kids work with us full time. My daughter actually is the district manager. She runs both shops. My son deals with all the inventory, stock, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so we're there, but we're for the first time getting to work on the business, not just in it as well. And we're loving it. I mean, we were just saying, man, we came to Tennessee a few years ago and had nothing. And literally the shops have been great. They've blessed us. We, have a nice living from there. We've gotten a couple properties here. It's a great supporting my family and a lot of other people. And it's just been really well received within the community.
I'm curious. I haven't ever spent any time over on the East Coast. What's your guys' biggest competition over there? Is it Dunkin'? Is it Starbucks?
Well, literally all that was here is Starbucks. Now we're about 25 minutes outside of Nashville. Nashville, you have tons of coffee shops, but we were the first over on the eastern side of Nashville. And because of that, it actually played to our benefit. There was nowhere else to go. So everybody came here, but it became so successful that a lot of local people looked on and they all started opening up shops around. But now recently, Dutch has just decided to make literally Gallatin, where we just opened up our big shop. We were about 2-3 months before opening, and Dutch announced that they were making Gallatin like their main go-to all around. So they opened up 2. They're popping up all over here now. It's their full expansion.
Our Drew Moody got to work with you a little bit on like run and plan and some different things that you guys were working on when you're going to open up a bigger location, some stuff like that. We just got to get you working on energy drinks. We got to get our energy drinks in there with you. Like make sure you drop the price so you can keep up with Dutch on their energy. Cause I know that's one of their big pushes is their energy drinks.
Totally. We've started those, we're doing the Lotus stuff and that it's been really well received in that, but hey, we're open to whatever.
Thinking about my friends, Indie Coffee Coalition, just thinking about the hundreds of thousands of dollars we've saved coffee shop owners just like you, who are not franchisees, who are looking for deals on their fat mix and their energy drinks. Why should the franchises get all the deals, right? Indie Coffee Coalition was built with the idea of saving you, the little guy, tons of cash. So if you're a coffee shop owner, you have 1 to 3 coffee shops, and you're serving blended drinks or energy drinks, we can substantially save you money and keep more money in your pocket. Set up a call. I'd love to talk with you. Indie Coffee Coalition, keeping money in your pocket. We don't mind undercutting. We'll come after Lotus. We don't have any problem with that.
Get with us. I just got to keep my staff off this stuff, man. There's like drinks a day.
I just want to like shake him, like talking like they're on speed to your clients.
Yeah, it's the only way I can get them excited though to work. So.
I love it. Drew Moody, what do you got for us? Any questions for Drew?
Well, I was curious about the energy drinks. I know I lived down in Texas, not quite as far east as you are, but they were a big tea community. They had actual big drive-through tea shops. So are energy drinks picking up then? You said you've been using Lotus. Obviously, I think we all know that young baristas live off of caffeine. So it's no big surprise that they can't put them down. But as far as the customer base, have you seen it increase over the last year or so?
Yeah, it's definitely new here. I don't think I know of any coffee shops the past several years that were doing energy drinks here. There's a couple places did some like Red Bulls, but that's really Dutch is coming in and they're kind of, really pushing. And with them, it's probably just pushed even a greater desire for it really with even our own shop. Nowhere near as big as Oregon though.
Yeah, I was going to say that's so fascinating because here, if you open up a coffee shop and you don't have an energy drink, they're like, just don't open one at all. Don't even bother.
You got the purists. You got the purists that are like, no, we don't do anything but coffee. And we're always like, hey, listen, like stick to what's true you, but just if you're wanting to make money doing coffee, you probably should have something other than just coffee that you're offering, especially young people that maybe don't like coffee and want an alternative to caffeine. I think energy drinks is the way to do it.
For sure. We're seeing it rapidly grow. Yeah,
And
people are
looking to the West Coast as an example, I think, we know that in the future the market is there. Even if people just haven't had it yet, it's not going to be too
yeah,
long until they do.
In some ways, it's like, I feel like in some ways that's Dust Bros' gift to stomping grounds, right? Like, I think sometimes they always feel like competition isn't good, but in some ways it can be good if they bring an energy with them. And that's funny, we're talking about energy drinks, but if they bring like momentum with them behind a product line that maybe hasn't splashed in your area yet, and then they invest a ton of money bringing awareness to their product line, because for Dutch, energy drink is huge. They don't mess around with their energy drinks. So I think that they come and they do all of this marketing around energy drinks, and then indirectly they open up a new product line offering within an indie shop like yours. And then I think you always have going for you of, this is local, this is hometown, this is indie. Like, don't support the big, like support your home local. So I think you can spin all their marketing for a new product line for your offering, and then like use it to your advantage of, no, we're indie. We're a private thing and homegrown here in Tennessee. I think that's powerful.
people really gravitate towards local
Yeah.
first and foremost, where you don't necessarily have just city after city blending into each other, very distinct cities. And when you are in there, everybody, we still have like parade instead of opening outside our coffee shop, and all the everybody comes in, and I'm like, parade day, man, it's going to be busy. I think we had 15 people on the other day. It was just so big.
Wow.
So that's really played to our advantage for sure. Probably not being in the main city. Everybody's like, hey, I want to go to Nashville, but they have so much selection there.
Yeah.
People are like, man, how are you? You guys are doing as much as a couple of the big shops here, because there's just not as much of a selection. And luckily we were still that first kind of couple shops that come in, because lately in the past year or two, I said, like, there's a new coffee shop opening up like every month here now.
Yeah. And it really says a lot, because you have that opportunity to be that hometown hero. Like Aaron was saying, that's a lot of what we dealt with, was like establish the brand. And then even if the big boys do come in, you're like, yeah, but us, we're the hometown brand, and everybody loves the home brand.
They had their meetings before they opened up every day in our coffee shop. So you'd have a whole group of guys Dutch. Man, let me tell you, one day I'm cooking food and my back is turned, and they're hitting up all my staff and employees, inviting them to a staff hiring party. I was like, dude, I've opened up my shop to you. I've been super cool. That's really shady, man. And the main manager was like, hey, I didn't know that was happening. That's not cool. But yeah, it wasn't the easiest thing.
Keep buying here, but sit outside. You're not sitting inside no more.
We did all their interviews and everything in our shops.
Wow.
Freaking Dutch, man. It's like they own the world.
I've seen here after roasters kind of left, the area, I've seen a bunch of coffee shops pop up, and similar behavior, competition, coffee shops going to other ones before they open and trying to poach staff and trying to poach customers. And I've seen two reactions. Either they, it works, or it just strengthens the customer and barista's resolve in, liking their current shop.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think a lot of that depends on how you're treating your people too, right? Like, I think if you're loving on your people and you're like leaning into your people and investing in your people, it takes more than just another guy coming in to open, even if they're coming in to open for a higher pay rate. I think that, like, what we found, and this generation more than ever, is it's not really as much about how much you're paying them. It's about the culture that you're creating around them, and do they enjoy coming in? I think that goes a long way. So
we had an exodus of people who left. People come in, everybody's opening a new coffee shop, comes in and asks for our guys, pays them a lot more, and several have left. And 3-4 months later, almost every single person that's left has come back to us and said, you know what, the culture that you guys have created is something we miss, and we want that back. And one of the things that's been the biggest struggle for us is we started the coffee culture with more of a ministry mindset. And then now we have like multiple locations and business, and how to hit that balance between really being there, reaching out to the community, and then just also how to just run a successful business. And we went from more of a family focus to like, hey, just a team. and being a healthy team. And how do we create a culture where some of my big struggles were was just like, just dropping the hammer sometimes. I'm like, you guys are just being lazy. You need to get off your backs and work. That's been a challenge for me. I'm just like, it's all cool. Let's just create a happy family, which is cool. They love it. Sometimes you just kind of drop the hammer. We're a business. We got to be profitable here, or we're not going to reach our main goal of being a benefit to the community if we don't make some money.
No, I think it's good, man. I think that realistically, we're not just trying to grow for money's sake, but also for growing the next generation's sake, right? And I think if all we ever do is just placate, just let them only have fun and not teach them, hey, so obviously we want you to have fun here. Obviously we want this to be someplace you enjoy coming, but you just had to lay down the hammer earlier today. Like, it can't all be fun though, right? Like, you still have to show up. You still have to show up to do the things that you're supposed to be here to do. Cause like we said, Drew, like that is what keeps everybody employed. That is what keeps money making. I know Wes, the owner of Roasters, used to say, hey, don't forget, that's the reason why you have a job. Like, make sure you're serving those people. Make sure you're looking for ways to serve those people. Make sure that they understand how much you love them and value them, because that's how we're all making money. So don't get so distracted with all the fun that you're having and miss that, man, it's all about the customer.
Yeah. And I thank you, man, you've always been a support to us, just bouncing off ideas. Like I said, we're probably not the best example of people, like how to start the right way. We just kind of done it and learned as we've gone, over time, but really add in the professionalism and keeping just real relational vibe going on. But I just thank you guys for being a support through that process. I remember for this other location, well, how the heck do you do a drive-through, guys? I have no idea. I don't even know any energy drinks, and kind of made it up, but it's working now. It's going good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, we appreciate you. And I think that, I think the thing that we love, we obviously serve with Coffee Experts. We help chains, we help like franchises, we help franchisees. We love them. They all have their own place, but there is a really special spot in our heart for the indie and the indie that comes up and just says, hey, we're going to bootstrap this thing. We don't have a ton of cash. We don't have a ton of experience necessary, but we do have a big heart. So let's take it out. Yeah. And I think the story that you started this whole show with, backpacking, falling in the middle of England and coming across a couple hundred kids sitting out on a lawn and saying, we should move here and start a coffee something. I think that's a cool thing. And I think that it has served you well all the way until today is next generation, man. So kudos to you and Tam. I think you guys are an inspiration. I'm excited for how we'll get to work together on some stuff in the future, but I'm grateful for you, Drew.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out.
I'm looking forward to it. Now we've got the drive-through opportunities that I know you're big fans of, and we're like, oh man, I don't know how to do that. So that's next.
Awesome. Well, hey man, thanks for joining us on Coffee Experts Club. So good to have you. Ben, Drew, Moody, always great having you boys. And we'll see you guys next week on Coffee Experts. See you guys.
See you guys.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.